Tomorrow will arrive, as surely as the sun will rise. The weeks, the months, the years will roll forward, carrying us with them, and while most drift with the current, a few will decide. Today is the beginning. Today is day one, for time will pass regardless, but what it leaves behind, that is in your hands. Time is the one companion that walks beside us from birth to death. It neither hurries nor slows. It does not argue, and it does not wait. Every second it slips from our grasp, silent and irreversible, yet astonishingly most people live as if it were infinite. They whisper to themselves, "One day I'll start, one day I'll change, one day I'll live the life I truly want." But one day is a mirage. It is a promise we make to ourselves but rarely keep, because one day never appears on the calendar. Only today does. History is filled with examples of those who understood this truth. A man begins to write his great work not someday, but on a single chosen morning. A woman decides that instead of dreaming about health, she will step out her door and begin the journey that very day. Nations have been built, revolutions begun, and lives transformed, not by waiting for the right moment, but by seizing the moment at hand. The right time is not when conditions are perfect. The right time is now. We often imagine that time is neutral, that it simply passes without consequence. But time is not neutral. It is building or eroding, depending on what we do with it. A man who plants seeds today enjoys shade tomorrow. A man who wastes today wakes tomorrow to find the field barren. The river of time flows unceasingly. We cannot stop it, but we can choose what we set afloat upon its waters. Every day is either day one or one day. For the man who says one day, life becomes a series of delays, excuses, and unfinished beginnings. For the man who says day one, life becomes a sequence of starts, of courage, of progress, small steps compounding into great strides. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. The years will pass, as they always do. The question is, what will they leave behind? Will you look back and say, one day I intended to begin? Or will you stand proud and say, that was day one, and I never turned back? The clock is indifferent to your hesitation, but it is also generous to your action. It will reward whatever you sow, whether neglect or effort, whether hesitation or decision. The power is not in tomorrow, it is in today. So as you listen now, let me ask you a question. Will this moment become one more day lost to delay? Or will this moment be the day you begin, the day you claim as day one? The illusion of someday. Why waiting for the perfect moment is the greatest trap. Someday I'll tell her I love her. Someday I'll tell my son or daughter how proud I am. Those somedays can become silences that outlive us. One day we find the hour has passed, the voice has grown quiet, the chair is empty, and the someday we promised is gone with it. We will be gone. Our someday words will not be heard if we keep them for a future that never comes. One of the most dangerous words in our vocabulary is someday. It sounds harmless. It sounds patient. It even sounds wise. Someday, I'll start saving money. Someday, I'll take better care of my health. Someday, I'll begin that dream I've carried for years. But someday is not a day at all. It is a mirage that disappears the closer you walk toward it. Those who live by someday live in a state of constant postponement. They wait for the right conditions. More money, more time, more energy, less stress. They imagine that the stars must align before they begin. Conditions will never be perfect. There will always be reasons to wait, until the children are grown, until the debts are smaller, until the world is calmer, and so life drifts by, year after year, while the promise of someday remains just over the horizon. Have you ever noticed how the calendar never shows someday? It shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, days that are real, days you can use. But someday is not on the page. It is a dream that keeps you from living your days with urgency and intention. Think of a man standing on the bank of a river. He watches the water flow, waiting for the perfect moment to step in. He tells himself, when the current slows, when the water clears, when I feel ready, then I'll begin. But the river never waits. It keeps flowing. It carries away the days of his life while he stands there, motionless, waiting for conditions that will never arrive. Life rewards those who step in, not those who wait on the bank. Progress is not made by hesitation. it is made by beginnings. And beginnings are always messy, always uncertain, always imperfect. But beginnings are what transform dreams and confessions alike into realities and reconciliations. The man who says, "Someday I will," is really saying, "I never will." Because if not today, then when? If not now, then later. And later becomes never. The greatest tragedy is not failing after trying. It is never trying at all, because you waited for a someday that never arrived. The power of day one. Why beginnings carry the seed of transformation. Every great journey, every towering achievement, every remarkable life begins the same way, with a single day. Not a perfect day, not a day when everything was in order, but simply a day when a decision was made. Today is the beginning. Today is day one. The power of day one lies not in how much you accomplish in that single day, but in what that day represents. It is a declaration that hesitation has ended and that life will no longer be lived in the waiting room of someday. It is the moment when thought becomes action, when dreams step out of the shadows and take on the weight of reality. Most people underestimate the significance of beginnings because they look too far ahead. They want the entire road revealed before they take the first step. But life does not work that way. The road unfolds as you walk it. The mountain is climbed not in one bound, but in steady, determined steps, and every step, no matter how small, begins with day one. Think of the child on their first day of school, clutching a bag almost too large for their shoulders. They do not yet know the books they will read, the lessons they will learn, the friendships they will form. But the door they walk through that day opens to years of growth and possibility. That is the essence of day one, the courage to begin without knowing the full story. Every life has countless day ones waiting, but only a few ever claim them. Too many let them pass by unnoticed, disguised as ordinary mornings, hidden in the quiet hours when a choice could have been made. But those who succeed, those who create, those who live fully, they are the ones who recognize that any day can be day one if they choose it. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not wait for certainty before moving forward. The first chapter of every great story is always the most uncertain, but it is also the most powerful, for it is the chapter that proves you were willing to begin. So let today be that day, not tomorrow, not when the time is right, today. Because day one carries within it the promise of day two, day 10, day 100. Without day one, none of them can exist. With it, everything becomes possible. What time leaves behind, the compounding effect of daily choices on your future. Time is not a thief. It does not sneak into our lives to steal our chances. No, time is a mirror. It reflects back to us what we have placed into it. Each day is a deposit, each action a seed, and each choice a brushstroke on the canvas of our future. What time leaves behind is not random. It is the harvest of what we planted, whether by intention or neglect. A man decides, "I will read for 10 minutes each day." At first it seems trivial, hardly worth noting. But a decade later, he has absorbed the wisdom of hundreds of books. Another man says, "I'll save a little money each week." Years pass, and his modest deposits have grown into security, into freedom. The compounding effect of time has worked quietly, invisibly, until the results are undeniable. The choice to delay, the choice to neglect, the choice to waste, these too compound. A day of carelessness becomes a habit becomes a character, and character repeated over the years shapes destiny. Time is impartial. It multiplies what you give it, whether good or bad. Imagine a farmer with two fields. In one, he plants carefully, tends the soil, waters the ground. In the other, he does nothing, thinking, "I'll get to it someday." At harvest, the first field yields abundance, while the second is overrun with weeds. The farmer cannot plead with time for a different outcome. Time has simply revealed the truth. He reaped what he sowed. And so it is with us. Every conversation we have with our children, every moment we invest in our work, every habit we nurture in our private hours, they are seeds. Time does not erase them, it magnifies them. What feels insignificant today becomes the foundation of tomorrow. This is why drifting is so dangerous. A person may say, "I'm not making any big mistakes. I'm just letting life carry me," but time will not leave them untouched. Even drifting leaves behind its mark. An unused mind grows dull. An undisciplined body grows weak. A neglected dream fades until it is forgotten. The question is not whether time will leave something behind. It always does. The question is, What will it leave for you? Regret or reward? Weeds or a harvest? The answer lies in the choices you make daily, quietly, consistently, because time itself is neutral. It is your use of it that gives it meaning. One day, years from now, you will stand in the presence of your own past. You will look back at the seeds you planted, or failed to plant, and live with what they became. That moment will not be shaped in the distant future. It is being shaped right now, today, in every choice you make. The price of delay, how hesitation silently robs you of opportunity and growth. There is a cost to every hesitation, though it rarely shows itself in the moment. When we delay action, when we wait for certainty before stepping forward, life does not pause to wait with us. Opportunity passes quietly, like a train leaving the station. The platform feels the same, the tracks remain, but the chance itself is gone. That is the hidden price of delay. It robs us silently, leaving us with the illusion that nothing has changed, when in truth, everything has. Consider how many dreams have died, not because they were impossible, but because their owners waited too long to begin. A young man says, "I'll start when I'm ready," not realizing that readiness comes through beginning, not before it. A woman says, "I'll speak up another time," not knowing that the moment to speak is now, and that silence once chosen often becomes permanent. Delay disguises itself as caution, but its real face is fear. We tell ourselves that waiting is wise, that tomorrow will be more convenient, that next year will be easier. But life never becomes easier. It only becomes shorter. The longer we hesitate, the more our confidence erodes, the more our chances fade. A man who delays his health loses years he cannot recover. A worker who delays his growth stays in the same position while others pass him by. A parent who delays expressing love may one day stand at a grave, wishing for just one more chance to say the words. Hesitation is a thief that leaves no fingerprints. It does not announce its damage. It simply accumulates day by day until we awaken to find the landscape of our lives altered, not by what we did, but by what we failed to do. And the cruelest part is this: delay does not only rob us of the present, it steals from the future. For every step not taken today, 100 paths of growth, discovery, and progress are closed tomorrow. Life was never meant to be lived in pause. Growth belongs to those who risk imperfection, who move before they feel completely ready, who understand that hesitation is not caution, but paralysis. Delay may feel safe in the moment, but in the end, it costs more than risk ever could, because risk may bring failure, but delay guarantees regret. Decisions that define direction. Why clarity and action separate achievers from dreamers. Every life is shaped not only by the opportunities it encounters, but by the decisions it makes. The difference between those who achieve and those who merely dream is not found in talent or in luck, but in the willingness to decide. A dream without a decision remains a fantasy. A vision without action remains an illusion. Clarity and action. These are the twin forces that turn potential into progress. Clarity is the compass of achievement. It begins with asking, "Where am I going?" The dreamer avoids the question, content to float, to drift, to hope that destiny will reveal itself. The achiever confronts it, wrestles with it, and names it. This is what I will pursue. This is where I will go. That act of clarity transforms vague desire into a guiding star. Without it, life becomes a circle. With it, life becomes a line moving forward. But clarity alone is not enough. Action must follow. For too many, the moment of decision is where courage falters. They know what they want, but they hesitate to step. Fear whispers, "What if you fail? What if you choose wrong?" Yet the truth is, failing while moving forward is progress. Waiting in uncertainty is not. A wrong turn can be corrected, but standing still leads nowhere. History remembers those who decided and acted, not those who lingered in indecision. A farmer decides when to plant his seed. A sailor decides when to raise his anchor. A leader decides when to take his stand. Without those choices, there would be no harvest, no voyage, no change. The achievers of this world are not those who had perfect conditions, but those who dared to choose and dared to act. Life will present countless moments that ask for decision. Some will seem small, some enormous, but all of them shape the direction of your journey. Each decision is like turning the wheel of a ship, subtle in the moment, but over time, it determines the shore upon which you arrive. The difference between achievers and dreamers is not that one had grander visions, it is that one had the courage to decide and the discipline to act, and in that act, they transformed possibility into destiny. Building momentum one day at a time. How consistency turns effort into transformation. Success does not arrive in a single burst. It is not built in a moment of passion or a day of extraordinary effort. It is built instead in the steady rhythm of daily choices, the quiet persistence of ordinary days stacked one upon another. Momentum is not given. It is earned through consistency, and once it begins, it becomes the greatest ally of transformation. Think of a train at rest. At first, it takes enormous power to set it in motion. The wheels strain, the engine groans, the weight resists. Yet with each pull forward, with each rotation of the wheels, the resistance lessens. Soon the train moves more easily and then more swiftly until its momentum carries it across miles with less effort than the first push required. That is the power of consistency. The hardest part is the beginning. The reward is in the motion that follows. So it is with life. A man who commits to learning one new idea each day may feel little change in a week, but in a year, his mind is transformed. A woman who begins with a single step of exercise may see little difference in a day, but in time, her strength, her health, her energy become unrecognizable compared to where she began. Progress is not loud, it is quiet, steady, cumulative. But momentum works both ways. Neglect builds momentum just as surely as discipline does. A day of wasted effort becomes 2, then 3, until idleness becomes habit, and habit becomes character. The same force that can carry us upward can also carry us downward, depending on the choices we feed into it. Time will always amplify the direction we choose. The secret to transformation is not found in giant leaps, but in faithful steps. The man who writes 1 page a day will finish a book before the one who waits for inspiration. The worker who improves one skill at a time will surpass the one who waits for opportunity. Consistency is the compound interest of effort. The longer it is sustained, the greater its reward. The beauty of momentum is this. Once it is built, it works in your favor. Effort becomes habit, habit becomes strength, and strength becomes destiny. The first days may feel heavy, the first steps uncertain, but every small action adds weight to your forward motion. In time, what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. What momentum are you building today? For whether you rise or fall, advance or drift, your future will be carried forward by the habits of your present. Transformation is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of consistent choice, one day at a time. The legacy of now. Why choosing day one creates a life that endures beyond you. Every decision you make today stretches further than your own lifetime. The way you use your time, the courage you show, the habits you form, these ripple outward, touching not only your future but the lives of those around you and even those who will come after you. We are not only shaping our own destiny, we are shaping the inheritance we leave behind. Legacy is not built at the end of life. It is built in the middle of it. Today, in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the standards you set when it would be easier to compromise, in the effort you give when excuses would be simpler. People remember less of what we said and more of how we lived, and every day one we choose becomes a stone in the foundation of that memory. Think of the men and women whose names endure, not because they were perfect, but because they chose to begin. They refused to wait for someday. They decided to live with intention, and their choices echo still. A teacher who planted seeds of wisdom in young minds. A parent who sacrificed comfort to instill discipline and love. A craftsman who poured excellence into his work, leaving behind something that outlasted his hands. Their lives testify to this truth. Beginnings matter, and persistence preserves them. But legacy is not only about grand achievements. It is about the character etched into daily life. Someday your children, or those you've influenced, will recall not what you hoped to do, but what you did. Not the dreams you postponed, but the actions you took. If you waited for someday, that absence will be part of your legacy. If you chose day one, that presence, that courage, will remain as an example long after you're gone. There is an ancient saying, a society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. That is the essence of the legacy of now. Every time you decide to begin today, to speak words of love instead of waiting, to invest in your growth instead of drifting, to pursue purpose instead of postponing. You are planting trees for the future. You may never see the full harvest, but others will live beneath it. Your legacy is not written at your funeral. It is written in the days you live now, in the way you choose today over someday. The greatest inheritance you leave is not wealth or possessions. It is the example of a life lived with courage, discipline, and urgency. That is what endures. That is what inspires. That is what will remain when time itself has carried you forward. So time will not pause for your courage. It will only reward it. Choose today, not someday. Speak the words you've kept back. Take the first clumsy step toward the work you dream of, and plant the small seed that will shade your children's children. Everything worth having begins with a single decision and a single day. Let this be the day you stop waiting and start building. Make this moment your day one.